Oh, hello. Today we're going to talk about the Phobos kill team faction review. Let's get straight into it. So the Phobos kill team has infiltration and recon. So once again, no seek and destroy, but recon still rewards killing, so I still rate it. It's pretty good. It's a 6-model team. So that's 6-model team. We've done all the 6-model teams now. You've got loads of choices to make. So I'll run through this quickly. You're going to take one leader, either the Infiltrator Sergeant, the Incursor Sergeant, or the Reiver Sergeant. If you go for that Reiver Sergeant, you're going to choose between the Special Issue Bolt Pistol and the Combat Knife, or the Bolt Carbine and Fists. If you're taking a Reiver, you're always taking the Special Issue Bolt Pistol and Combat Knife. The Bolt Carbine and Fists option may as well not exist, okay? Then you're taking 5 operatives selected from the following list. So you've got the Infiltrators, the Commsman, the Helix, Adept, the Saboteur, the Veteran, and the Voxbreaker, and then the Basic Warrior. The Incursors, the Marksman, the Minelayer, and the Warrior. And then you've also got the Reiver Warrior. Each option you can take once, except for Warriors. You take as many Warriors as you like. I'm not going to very quickly tell you what a list would be on this. Oh, blimey. I'm not going to very quickly tell you what a list would be on this page because there's a lot of nuance to dig into with these, and you need to understand the team's special rules. Because you're kind of split into these 3 families, right? You've got the Infiltrator operatives, the Incursor operatives, and then the Reiver operatives as well, I guess, right? And you've got to kind of understand how they work with each other. So let's do that now. Let's look at the faction rules. So the way this works is you've got 1 faction rule per family. So Omni Scrambler, which is the Infiltrator rule. So Strategic Gambit, if a friendly Infiltrator operative is in the kill zone, select 1 enemy operative visible to a friendly Infiltrator operative or within 6 of a friendly Voxbreaker operative. In the following firefight phase, that enemy operative cannot be activated or perform actions until one of the following is true. Your opponent has activated a number of enemy operatives equal to the number of Infiltrator operatives in the kill zone when the Strategic Gambit was used, or it's the last enemy operative to be activated. So, yeah. If you stack up on Infiltrators, then, if you take 6 Infiltrators, then you basically are going to point to someone and say you can't use him until, you used 6 other guys, which is pretty punishing. And with 6 Infiltrators, you're likely able to see, somebody or the person that you want. It does have to be visible, which is... I think generally when you want to stop somebody from activating, then he's going to be visible to somebody, because generally the situation where you want to stop somebody from activating is when you've got that Mexican standoff situation where the next person to activate is going to kill the other one. It's just whether he's going to be visible to an Infiltrator. So if you really wanted to lean into this ability, that would be a really good reason to go all Infiltrators. Unfortunately, as we're going to see, basically all most of the specialists are Infiltrators. You could easily run a 6 Infiltrator team. I just think you'd then be lacking anything good. Right? It's a really tough one. The Reiver faction rule is Terror. Dedicated Terror troops. Space Marine Reivers utilize skull masks, shock grenades, and Vox-enhanced roars to terrify their victims. Whenever an enemy operative is within 3 of any friendly Reiver operatives, your opponent must spend 1 additional AP for that enemy operative to perform the pickup marker and mission actions. Whenever determining control of a marker, treat the total ABL stat of enemy operatives that contest it as 1 lower if at least one of those enemy operatives is within 3 of any friendly Reiver operatives. Note this isn't a change to the APL stats, so any changes are cumulative with this. It's not bad. It's a cool ability. Obviously, we care less about markers and mission actions in this edition of the game, but we don't care none. So I think just having a Reiver up in the middle, on that middle objective, where he's also going to be killing people with his close combat abilities, that's a pretty beneficial thing, I will say, just to be, all the operatives that are within 3 of the Reiver have 1 less APL is pretty cool, right? And then down at the bottom of the screen, we've got the Incursor ability. Whenever a friendly Incursor operative is shooting, enemy operatives can't be obscured, which is pretty badass, right? Feeding into the auto sensors of the bearer's armor, the multi-spectrum array's powerful augers help to reveal hidden foes. Yeah, pretty badass. And I like that you could just take 1 Incursor and it's good, and take 2 and it's good, like, whereas the Infiltrator's ability is kind of fiddly. Yeah. And then they have Astartes. You don't really need to worry about the nuance of their version of Astartes. It's basically they don't have any access to any good guns like a sniper rifle or a heavy bolter to worry about whether they could shoot them twice or not. So they can shoot any bolt weapon. They can shoot twice as long as it's once with any of their bolt weapons. And they can also fight twice, and they can counteract regardless of order, just like all the other Space Marines. Strategic Ploys. So we've got guerrilla warfare, really good. Phobos strike teams utilize stealth and ambush tactics to overwhelm their foes, striking when least expected. So friendly Phobos strike team operatives can perform the following action. 1 AP, change your order. You can't do it when you're in control range. So this is pretty good, actually. If you have this active, even in Turning Point 1, it could be a consideration for the free strategy ploy, the free strategic ploy scouting gambit thing, right? Because it means that what you can do, if you've got a shot and you're on Conceal, you can flip to engage, shoot twice, and then flip back to Conceal, which is, if your opponent's going to let you get a shot, you don't want to be punished. You could take that shot without being punished, as if for an AP, all of your guys have silent, basically, which is pretty good. I could see going all, like, no Reivers, all ranged guys with this team, and just trying to really castle up and make it difficult for your opponent to A, move towards you, and B, do very much to you. Especially if you're all ignoring obscuring. Like that, it's that thing, because it's like, I've popped smoke, and you're like, I don't care, because I'm ignoring obscuring. I don't know. That could be a thing. They've got And They Shall Know No Fear, the same as regular Space Marines. So spend a CP, ignore the effect of being injured, which is pretty cool. Deadly Shots. So spend a CP, and essentially, Space Marines spend countless hours perfecting their marksmanship. Whenever a friendly Phobos strike team operative is shooting during an activation in which it hasn't performed the charge, fallback, or reposition action, or against an operative that isn't in cover, its ranged weapons have the balanced weapon rule. Note that for the first requirement, that operative isn't restricted from performing those actions after shooting. So it's, 1 CP to give your whole team balanced if they have a shot before they move is alright, if you have the shots lined up. Like, it's a bit situational, but it's okay. Then we got Lethal Assaults. Space Marine warriors strike down their foes with incredible power and precision. Whenever a friendly Phobos strike team operative is fighting, its melee weapons have balanced. If that friendly operative is doing so during an activation in which you perform the charge action, its melee weapons have lethal 5-up. So this is really good. Gives you a bit of punch in melee. If you've taken loads of Reivers, or even a few Reivers, this is going to be pretty good. So, yeah, it's an alright raft of strategy ploys. There's nothing that really sets my world on fire. I'm sort of wondering if running them as a shooty team that skulks around in buildings and just using guerrilla warfare a lot is going to get you anywhere. I'm not sure. Firefight ploys. So, Patience Ambush. A Phobos strike team may wait for hours, days, or even weeks before launching an assault upon an unsuspecting enemy. So this is use this Firefight ploy when it's your turn to activate any operative. You can skip the activation. So just like Night Lords with their prescience point, you just go, no, I don't want to activate, it's occasionally useful. Phobos have to pay a CP for it, but yeah, it's occasionally useful. Critical Shot. A well-placed bolt round can fell even the most resilient of foes. Use this Firefight ploy when you resolve a critical success for a friendly Phobos strike team operative that's shooting with a bolt weapon. Inflict D3 additional damage. I like that you can sort of math this out and see if that D3 is going to make a difference before you spend the CP, which is good. You got Transhuman Physiology, another one that you've borrowed from the Angels of Death, right? The genetically modified physiology of a Space Marine is capable of resisting wounds that would kill a lesser being. Use this Firefight ploy when an operative is shooting a friendly Phobos strike team operative. In the roll defense dice step, you can retain one of your normal successes as a critical success instead. And again, it's nice that you can do that after you roll the dice and see whether it's going to come in for you or not that turn. And finally, we got Stealth Assault, which is quite good. Stealth Assault. The silent servos of Phobos pattern power armor allow a Space Marine to strike swiftly and overwhelm a surprised foe. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly Phobos strike team operative that has the Conceal order is activated, is given an engage order, performs a charge, then the fight action, and you're resolving your first attack dice for his activation. After doing so, you can immediately resolve another attack dice before your opponent. The operative cannot have performed any other actions during this activation, but can do so after resolving this ploy. It's quite nice. It gives you a really good first turn fight where you can charge, fight, attack, and then another attack. Is pretty good, and you're going to kill some lower wounded people with those, which is good. Right, I'm going to tackle all three sergeants on one slide because it gives us the best opportunity to see what we're dealing with here. So this whole team, APL 3, a 7-inch move, a 3-up save, and 12 wounds base, 13 wounds on these because they're the sergeants. They're all hitting on 3s. Now, all the sergeants have got the same ability, tactical advantage. You can do each of the following once per battle. When rolling off for initiative, if the operative's in the kill zone, you can reroll your d6. You can use a firefight ploy for free if this is the specified Phobos strike team operative, including command point reroll if the attack or defense dice is rolled with this operative, or the patient ambush firefight ploy for free if this operative is ready and not within control range of enemy operatives. So I've written on the slide, I think you probably take the Infiltrator Sergeant. I'm actually not sure about that. That's bollocks, isn't it? It's a really tough one. As you can tell, I've gone backwards and forwards since I made the deck, and I'm going backwards and forwards right now while I'm recording. So on the face of it, on the cards, the Infiltrator Sergeant has lethal 5-up, which is cool. You want to keep him alive for his tactical advantage until you use it, but once you've used it, it's gone. The Incursor Sergeant only has Saturate, but he does also have Ignore Obscuring. Maybe you go Reiver Sergeant. Because the Reiver Sergeant has piercing, like full-on, full-fat, not piercing crits, full-on, full-fat piercing on his special issue bolt pistol, which, yeah, it's got an 8-inch range. Yeah, you're going to have a bit more gung-ho with the Reiver Sergeant, but you're probably not, whatever way you cut it, you're probably not getting a shot on the first turn anyway. I don't know. The Reiver Sergeant's also got a grab, shoot, and grapnel launcher. Whenever this operative is climbing, treat the vertical distance as 2, regardless of how far the operative moves vertically. Whenever this operative is dropping, ignore the vertical distance. It's one of those things where it's not really a case of saying this is the best sergeant, always take him. It's going to depend on what else you're trying to do with your build, right? Because the Reiver Sergeant, probably the best sergeant with piercing 1 on his bolt pistol. But if you want that thing where you're forcing your opponent to skip turns, you want to have a couple of infiltrators. The sergeant's not a bad place to put an infiltrator. The Incursor, if he's got Ignore Obscuring, it's hard. It's a hard choice. None of them particularly excite me as well, which is the problem, because they're basically warriors. They're basically exactly the same as the warriors, but with +1 wound, and with that tactical advantage ability, which is pretty, you can do each of the following ones for battle. It's okay, right? But, in the old initiative kill team, your sergeants all got to hit on 2s, which was a bit more interesting as well, but, yeah. If you think there's a dead cert for one you'd pick every turn, let me know. I kind of would wobble between the 3 depending on the matchup and what I was doing the rest of the team, I think. Yeah. Right, let's look at the Helix Adept. Oh, I've written loads on this slide. So here's the standard loadout. Here's an Infiltrator, so he's going to add towards your Infiltrator count for that ability. Okay. So he has the same weapon as that we saw on the Sarge. Okay. He has the Medic ability. So the first time during each turning point that a friendly Phobos strike team operative will be removed from the kill zone as incapacitated. While visible to within 3 of this operative, you can use this rule, providing that neither this nor that operative is within control range of an enemy operative. If you do, that friendly operative isn't incapacitated and has D3 wounds remaining. The friendly operative can immediately perform a free dash action, but must end that move with this operative's control range. Subtract 1 from that operative's APL until the end of the next turn, until the next end of their next activation respectively, and if this rule was used during that friendly operative's activation, the activation ends. You cannot use this rule if the operative is incapacitated. Okay, it's a medic. It does medic things. And then for 1 AP, Helix Gauntlet. Select one friendly Phobos strike team operative within this operative's control range to regain D3 plus 3 lost wounds. It cannot be an operative the medic rule was used on during this turning point. You know, he's a medic and his gun's okay and he can still shoot twice and do all of the Infiltrator things. Fine. The Infiltrator Commsman, now don't be fooled, he doesn't give you +1 APL. He does different things instead. You roll a dice, so strategic oversight. In the ready step of each strategy phase when you gain CP, if this operative is in the kill zone and not within control range of enemy operatives, you can use this rule. If you do, roll 1d6. On a 4-up, you gain an additional CP. Why does it have to be on a 4-up? Like, he's not that great. If it was just take this guy, gives you a CP every turn, it'd be like, okay, I'll have to take him. Take this guy on a 4-up, you can have a CP. Yeah, I've written you're already getting a bonus CP from your leader, which is not true. You're kind of getting a bonus CP from your leader once per battle, so ignore that, but yeah. Then you've got the Comms Array ability, which is interesting. Once per turning point, a friendly Phobos strike team operative activation or counter action before or after it performs an action. If this operative is in the kill zone, you can change a strategy ploy. So, the main use here, if we look at our strategy ploys, is turning on lethal assaults or deadly shots when you didn't have the CP. You know, let's say you did, or turning on and they shall know no fear if somebody takes wounds down into thing, right? Which is, yeah, if you only had the AP to do, the CP to do one strategy ploy and you did guerrilla warfare, and then you get to a guy and you're like, oh, he's injured, so I'd benefit more from an additional fear, or oh, he's going to charge, I'd benefit more from lethal assaults. Like, I can see the utility to this as well. It's fine. The Saboteur. So you've got a mine. He has to plant his explosives, so he can put it down with the place marker action, and they get a free dash. And then he has to detonate it with his remote detonator, right? So it's 4 dice, hit on 2s, 5, 6, heavy, dash only, limited 1, piercing 1, silent, detonate. It's okay. Let's look at the detonate rule. Detonate, don't select a valid target. Instead, shoot against each operative within 2 of your explosives each as well, so it's going to hit friendlies. Unless heavy terrain is wholly intervening between that operative and that marker, each of those operatives cannot be in cover or obscured. Roll each sequence separately on or in an order of your choice. This weapon cannot be selected if your explosives marker isn't in the kill zone. At the end of the activation, remove your explosives marker from the kill zone. Super okay, right? Yeah. Infiltrator veteran, so he's interesting. His bolt carbine has the custom ability. At the end of the select operative step, if this operative is selected for deployment, select up to 2 of the following weapon rules for it to have during the battle: balanced, lethal 5-up, piercing crits 1, rending or saturate. I think you're basically always going for piercing crits 1 and lethal 5-up. Bear in mind the Billy Basic Warrior has lethal 5-up. It's basically, I'm a specialist, and the thing that makes me special is my gun has piercing crits 1, which is fine. Every intercessor rifleman has piercing crits 1. Like, it's upsetting, is what it is. It's like, oh yes, the thing that makes him a specialist is he's as good as the Billy Basic intercessor. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Phobos team, and this sort of thing is one of the reasons why. But he's alright, you know. You could go for other things, I just don't think the other things are as good. So, Voxbreaker. So he has All-Spec Scan, which is on a few different models. 1 AP. Until the start of this operative's next activation, or until it's incapacitated, whichever comes first. Whenever a friendly Phobos strike team operative is shooting an enemy operative within 8 of this operative, that enemy operative cannot be obscured. If the friendly operative is an Incursor, its ranged weapons also has Seek Light. It's pretty cool. There's not that much light terrain on Vulcus, so I don't think he's worth taking in a Incursor heavy list specifically. Like, probably just take another Incursor so that everybody just has Ignore Obscure on their guns. But it also has Vox Break. Whenever an enemy operative is within 6 of the objective, your opponent cannot reroll their attack or defense dice to that operative. And that's pretty cool. It's not great. It's not game breaking, but it's pretty cool. And then we've got the Infiltrator Warrior, which is an Infiltrator, and he has Vanguard. Once per turn, you put one friendly Phobos strike team operative with this rule can perform the pickup marker or a mission action for one SAP. I just like this was really good in the last edition of the game when you had like 3 different Tac Ops, and at least one of them was going to involve mission actions probably, and then you had 6 objectives. And in this version of the game, it's not going to make me run out and buy warriors. It just not really, no. So then we get the Incursor Marksman. Now the Incursor Marksman is genuinely quite good, right? So it has the Incursor bolt carbine, so it hits on 2s, 3-4, lethal 5 up, piercing 1, right? That's pretty good. He also has track target, so he can perform the guard action from close quarters, and he can do that in any kill zone, and he can do it when he has a conceal order. And when you perform the free shoot or fight action during the interruption, you can change his order to engage, or you must change his order to engage. But it's pretty good. You know, I like him because you've got basically a sniper. Yeah, it's not silent, but you can have out silence by flipping your order and then flipping it back. Or you can do the guard thing whilst you're on silence and then shoot, and that's pretty cool. And then you are sound engaged then until your next activation. But yeah, he's a cool guy, I guess. He's a cool guy. It's piercing 1 as well, not piercing crits, which is nice. The Incursor Minelayer is also really... I think these 2 Incursor specialists are pretty well auto-includes. So the Incursor Minelayer is also really good. So he has a Haywire Mine. So he's carrying a Haywire Mine marker. It can perform the pickup marker action on the marker, but the marker cannot be placed within enemy operative's control range. If this operative is incapacitated while carrying the marker and it can't be placed, it's removed. So a nice thing with him, if you kill him, he drops his marker, which is awesome. Proximity Mine. The first time your Haywire Mine marker is within another operative's control range, remove that marker, subtract 1 from the operative's APL stat until the end of its activation, and inflict 2d3 plus 3 damage on it. If it is incapacitated, end its action. Even if that action's effects aren't fulfilled, it can't be placed, moving the minimum amount to do so, and this operative is ignored for those effects, i.e. it can't set off or take damage from its own marker. So this is pretty good. Because 1, you're going to give out a -1 APL. 2, you're going to interrupt your opponent's turn, right? And 3, 2d3 plus 3 damage, like it's swingy. But it could kill anything but a space, anything short of a 14 wound Space Marine could die from it. And a Space Marine doesn't want to take 12 wounds, really, ideally. So I think he's really good. I think you take him, he is absolutely a killer model as well. So I think you're going to take him in basically every game. I love the 2 Incursors are absolutely brilliant. And then you've got the Incursor Warrior, who, again, I don't really care about Vanguard, but, he does have a bolter, and his bolter does ignore obscuring. So there's going to be matchups. I'm thinking about Night Lords, where maybe you just be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to fill up on... I'm going to take an Incursor Sergeant, the 2 Incursor Specialists, and 3 Incursor Warriors, and I'm just going to not care that you're in Midnight Cloud, ever. Is that enough to do it? Is that enough to win? I don't know. Night Lords are pretty handy otherwise. But it's pretty cool. I don't know if there's any other team where you take Incursor Warriors, but I could see wanting to flex into it against Night Lords. I don't think there's anyone else that abuses obscuring in the same way. But they're pretty cool. Or maybe you just take all Incursors all the time, and like I say, just hide in big buildings and go, yeah, I'm going to shoot you. And I don't care about your smoke or anything. I'm just going to shoot you in the face. Maybe that's a play. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But ignorance obscuring seems kind of huge. Don't know. Reiver, Warrior. So, Reivers only have a Warrior. But you might want to take Reivers. I like Reivers. Reivers have a piercing 1 pistol. And a power sword. I mean, it's called a combat knife, but it's not lethal 5 up. But remember that they can get lethal 5 up on the charge from a ploy. It's pretty good. They do feel a little bit like Assault Intercessor with two less wounds, but they do have they're not like Assault Intercessors. They'd actually quite like to double shoot rather than charge a lot of the time, I think. But at the same time, if they have the Strat Ploy and the Tac Ploy up, for example, to like have the lethal 5 up and then to have the 2 dice strike first, they can be very deadly in combat. So I like the Reiver Warrior. And if anyone's going to be in a position to do mission actions and stuff, it's going to be your Reivers anyway. So on the Reiver, like, you're not taking it for the Vanguard, but the fact you also get Vanguard is like a nice bonus, because not only are you doing mission actions for 1 less, they're taking a cost of 1 more because of terror when they're doing the mission actions. So it's not bad. Equipment, so we've got Purity Seals. Awarded by the Chapter's Chaplains, Purity Seals are inscribed with blessings and inspire the bearer to fight with increased vigour. Once per turning point, when a friendly Phobos strike team operative is shooting, fighting or retaliating, if you roll 2 or more fails, you can discard 1 of them and retain the other as a normal success instead. Everything I've said about it before, it's fine. It's Hurricane Insurance. If you've got nothing else better that you want to take, you can drop it. It's not the end of the world. Okay. Additional utility grenades. This is so lazy. Some Space Marines opt to carry additional smoke grenades, shock grenades, and other forms of handheld explosives. This equipment allows you to take 4 utility grenades from the utility grenade equipment to universal equipment. You cannot also select that equipment as normal to give you 6. So if you wanted 4 smokes or 2 smokes and 2 stuns, then you could take this. And maybe you do with Reivers want to take... I mean, these were the OGs that had smoke grenades to begin with when they weren't something everybody had. Maybe you want to cover your Reivers as your Reivers move up the board if you're taking a bunch of Reivers. Like, it's not bad. It just seems lazy. You know? Combat Blades. These blades are tough, thick, and possess a razor-sharp cutting edge. Friendly Phobos strike team operatives have the following weapon. Combat Blade. 5 dice hits on 3/3/4. It's worse than the Reiver knife, but it's an upgrade for everybody else. So, unless you've got all Reivers, or mostly Reivers, you probably want to take the Combat Blades. If you've got all Reivers, it's pointless. Speaking of things that are pointless if you've gone all Reivers, special issue ammunition. Once per turning point when a friendly Phobos strike team operative is performing the shoot action and you select a bolt carbine, Marksman bolt carbine, or Oculus bolt carbine, you can use this rule. If you do until the end of the turn, that weapon has piercing 1 rule for that operative. This is great. If you've taken, you know, not Reivers, then you probably want to take this to give you, you know, effectively a 3rd specialist, where the bar for specialist in this team is it can do piercing 1, I guess, which is, oh my gosh, what are you going to do if you have to fight 1,000 Suns? You're just going to die like a chump. Okay, moving on. Tac Ops. No Seek and Destroy. So again, I've said this last time with 1,000 Suns. I'm going to take Confirm Kill. Maybe I should take something different and be like, oh, we can lean into their ability to do mission actions for free. Maybe I want to take Surveillance? Where if 1 AP, basically you go, I have a shot on that guy, you spend an AP, you get a VP. If you're still alive, you get a VP. You've got to be in their table half. Maybe I take Surveillance and try and do it on my Reiver Warriors, if I've taken them, right? Because my Reiver Warriors can do it for free. Yeah. Maybe I take Surveillance. Maybe I take Confirm Kill. I'd have to play it out. Right. I still think Confirm Kill is going to encourage you to get the kill up, and you still need to be getting the kill up. The kill up still exists. So, yeah. This is what I vaguely came up with. It's a hard team to say one list. Infiltrator Sergeant, Incursor Marksman, Incursor Minelayer, Infiltrator Veteran, Reiver Warrior, Reiver Warrior. I think the Incursor Marksman and the Incursor Minelayer and the Infiltrator Veteran are as close to, unless you're deliberately running a skew list to try and off-balance your opponent, like all Reivers or all Incursors or all Infiltrators, which I guess might be a thing. You're always taking those 3. I'm trying to operate a philosophy when I'm thinking about this edition where basically I want to fill up on models that can kill before I fill up on utility models. And the Reivers have P1 on their basic pistols, which basically just about qualifies them as a killing model, and therefore I think they outclass the various utility models that the Phobos have, which is sad. I've gone for an Infiltrator Sergeant and not a Reiver Sergeant, just because, first of all, you gain the benefit of having a second Infiltrator, so now when you not Vox Scramble, but when you force a guy to not go, you can force him to not go for 2 activations, which seems like a good number. It seems like utility starts to fall off after 2 infiltrators, and also it means that I might not be charging ahead with my sergeant to try and get my 12 wound combat operative in, so I might actually keep him back until I can re-roll the initiative dice or get a free strategic ploy at a pivotal point. So maybe I'll try this first, but honestly, if you can't tell from my tone, I'm not particularly impressed with the Phobos. In terms of buying the Phobos, you can't. I tried to buy them. I found this website called Duke's Gaming, which is like a random gaming store in, I want to say Pontefract, somewhere like that. I have no commercial relationship with them at all. They're literally just the only place that I could find with it in stock. It's in stock because Duke's Gaming are selling it at RRP. Funnily enough, they offer a 10% discount inside their store only, which, they can run their business like that. But if you really, really want Phobos right now, I suggest that you check out dukesgaming.co.uk. At least they have it, right? You could also buy your Reivers from there, although they're going to order them in from Games Workshop. At least it's representative of the price without any discounts. It's going to be 85 quid because you need both those boxes. You will get 10 Reivers, so if you've got a friend who is also starting Phobos, you could share the Reivers with him. Right, you can make 2 you can each make a sergeant, unless you want that 6th Reiver, just so you can feel like you could run all Reivers just for the memes. Yeah. Final thoughts, possibly the worst Marine team. I really don't see the point of this team. I just don't get it. Basically, anytime I think about running Phobos, Angels of Death feel better. It's Angels of Death, but with some of the killing and survivability removed, and instead you get mobility and objective shenanigans, which are just not as valuable in this edition. So I really do think that Phobos are the worst elite team, and I think they're pretty bad. I think maths-wise, Phobos are the least number of wounds on the table. Like, just multiplying the wound score by the number of operatives, just that number, yeah, I think it's bad. And they're doubly penalised, right, because all the things that say, all the things that say, if you kill 1 operative with wounds 12 or more, that counts as 2 victory points, right? Like, so, like, if someone's got Phobos and you suddenly think, right, well, I'm definitely taking champion now. Because I can, even as like a guardsman, I can kill a Phobos Marine with 12 wounds. I can do that reasonably easily with a plasma gun or whatever I've got, So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I feel bad because even when I mentioned once in passing that I thought Phobos were were pretty garbage, I got like angry comments from people who obviously love Phobos going, oh, they're not bad. They got this, they got this, they got this, they got this, and I was like, yeah, but I'm not convinced by that. Now, it's worth saying that the Americans and the Spanish are both on tier lists, like the proper top players, and they don't put Phobos in S tier, but they don't put them in the F tier either. I just think they're the worst. Can you still win games with Phobos against non-elites? Like, probably. It's just the fact that in their weight class, if you like, they're the worst one. By a country mile, and it feels like they just try and excel at a thing that is not very useful for the mission pack that we've got. Yeah. So this brings us to the end of the sort of Space Marine like weight class, if you want to call it that. Makes most sense to me. So next I'm going to do Brood Brothers, because I'm painting Brood Brothers. I'm excited about Brood Brothers. I want to do Brood Brothers. And then after talked about Brood Brothers, I'll talk about all the other things in the sort of Horde weight class. So everybody with 10, more than 10 miniatures, right? Compare all those together. I think Brood Brothers are probably going to come on top. I won't be doing Inquisition in that rundown, though, A, because they're better and B, Inquisition I basically have to do last, because I'm going to do Inquisition once. I've also done the rundowns for all the other teams that could go into Inquisition, right? Hope you enjoyed the video. Big thank you to, this one's been a bit shorter. Hopefully I've not been rushing through because I don't like the team, but apologies if I have. A thank you to all my supporters, members, subscribers, etc, etc, etc. You make me all very, very happy. But yeah, expect a Brew Brothers video tomorrow, unless Games Workshop drops some news on our head. It's going to be a clear run of these faction rundown videos now, unless something else happens or something else deeply occurs to me. I'll see you tomorrow then. Alright, cheery bye. Cheery, cheery bye. Bye, 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 bye.